guys, and welcome back to my next Market Your Marketing workshop. Today's session, as you're probably already aware, has been pre-recorded. I usually run my events via a live Zoom session, but due to internet issues this month, I've decided to pre-record for the month of October to make sure that all of this content is viewable and informative and there are no glitches whatsoever. So this session is all about finding your side hustle, and before we jump into why I am discussing this topic and how to go about finding your side hustle, I just want to do some initial housekeeping. So firstly, this session will be roughly 20 to 30 minutes long. If you do have a question, I will be live from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday the 13th of October on my Twitter, Instagram, and via my email. So please do feel free to drop me a line if you have any questions after you watch this workshop. It will be online at 6 p.m. and it will be private to you guys only. It will then be public afterwards at a later date. Also, my next Market Your Marketing workshop will take place on Tuesday the 20th of October at 6 to 7 p.m. in the same format as today. So it'll be pre-recorded and there'll be a chance to answer questions or ask me questions, via Twitter, Instagram and my email on the day. With that in mind, let's jump right into the workshop and discuss all about finding your side hustle. So firstly, some history on me and why I feel able to give this topic or this workshop even on side hustles. I am a full-time marketing manager in the publishing industry, but on the side, I am also a freelance journalist, a novelist, a public speaker and a blogger. I fell into blogging about 5 years ago when I was at university, and the skills I developed from starting that blog, namely the social media and basic coding abilities I developed, were what actually got me my first 2 jobs in publishing. So I know firsthand what the benefits of having a side hustle can do for your publishing career. My other side hustles, namely my journalism and public speaking, came about when I was already working in the publishing industry, but they've still been beneficial in helping me develop my skills and also allowing me to progress up the career ladder faster than I might have done had I not already been doing those side hustles. But enough about me. In today's sessions, there are 4 things that you are going to be learning. The first one is why side hustles are useful in the publishing industry. Secondly, how to discover the best side hustle for yourself. Thirdly, how to start said side hustle. And finally, we'll touch upon how to manage a side hustle with a full-time job. So let's begin. The first thing I want to touch upon is the question of why a side hustle is useful. Having a side hustle is a brilliant way to develop extra skills and fuel your creativity and generally just have a bit of fun on the side. They're also a great way to progress your career, as you'll have extra things to say on your CV, you can talk about an interview. It'll just make you more inviting as a candidate for a potential job. And just kind of getting your foot in the door, particularly side hustles outside of the realm of publishing or, for example, the creative arts. So an example I'd use for this is an entrepreneur or even a public speaker. Both of these side hustles as examples aren't necessarily anything to do with creativity or the publishing industry. They might be about speaking about charity or a business to sell Bitcoin, for all I know, but they give you skills and they help you network. Because it is a creative industry, there's a lot of people that need an outlet outside of their day-to-day work life, which allows them to express themselves just as much as it allows them to develop other skills. So for me, people I know that are in this industry who have side hustles such as being a YouTuber. I've met a florist, I've met a novelist, I've met many novelists in fact, I've met artists, I've met singers, I've met actors, I've met journalists. I've also met people that are Etsy shop owners that sell artwork that not even they have produced, but other people they know, friends and family, have produced. I've met people that are volunteers for various charitable organisations, and even a synchronised swimmer who her skills still came in useful one day in the publishing industry. So keep that in mind. It doesn't need to be necessarily what you think has to be a publishing side hustle to still be beneficial to the publishing industry. All side hustles are useful in a small way or a big way, as they offer not only the skills but also wider perspectives, something I think is still kind of missing in this industry to this day. But for example, someone that has their foot in the film industry with their own e-zine, for example, has their finger on the pulse of upcoming trends, and they know about stories and themes that are coming up or retellings or something. And that's really useful in the publishing industry, which is often driven by trends and what people are watching on Netflix, for example. Someone such as myself, who is a public speaker, is also able to run workshops and give presentations and speak at events in order to build a publisher's brand or an author's brand. And you never know when a side hustle will just come in useful. I really want to drive home that a side hustle does not need to be linked to the publishing industry directly. Every role, every career and every hustle offers a unique set of skills that can be transferred to benefit your role in publishing, as well as your overall career in general. And I want to kind of go into the next section and just talk about some examples of potential side hustles that you could undertake should you wish to do so. So on this next slide, I've just written down a few examples of side hustles that are relevant to publishing. There are side hustles in here that I know people who undertake them, side hustles that I undertake, and there are also side hustles that I think could still be relevant should someone have them. I say a lot in this workshop that with side hustles, first comes heart, then comes hustle. There is no point undertaking a side hustle, basically a second job, solely to benefit your publishing career, because you would never take on, or you should never take on, a second job in order to pay for the first, for example. So why would you spend all your spare time working on a side hustle to benefit your career? Because then effectively you don't have spare time anymore. You're just constantly working on your career, and that's just a solid recipe for burnout. All of my side hustles came about naturally and were things I wanted to do. And when I don't want to do them anymore, I stop. It's as simple as that. I might take a break. I might stop them full time. I might change them. Side hustle does not define you, neither does your career for that matter. But if you undertake a side hustle, you should want to do it. So first comes heart, then comes hustle. As an example of this, because I think examples are going to be a really strong point at this workshop, I started a podcast last year called This Millennial Mess. And I'd wanted to start a podcast for ages, and I've been thinking about it, but never actually doing it. And the reason I was thinking about it so much was because in the publishing industry at the time, particularly at marketing workshops and events that I was attending, podcasting was a hot topic and was something that the industry had predicted was going to be a big marketing tool. So I was really interested in starting a podcast, mostly because I wanted to get ahead of a trend. And I bought the equipment and I planned out a series, and I recorded the whole series, and I promoted it and produced it. And, it's still live to this day. However, I realised after posting it that I didn't actually enjoy it, and I didn't really have anything to say. I hadn't found my niche yet. I think the successful podcasts that we listen to, I, for example, listened to Emma Gannon, it's like Control Delete, and also Shag Married Annoyed. All of these podcasts, they have a niche, they have an audience, they're saying something, and they're consistent. Whereas my podcast, I was doing it purely to promote or benefit my career. And I realised pretty soon after recording those first 9 or 10 episodes that this wasn't something that I actually wanted to do as a hustle. That doesn't mean, however, I didn't develop skills from it. I now know how to edit, produce, write, and publish a podcast. So I do have those skills if podcasting, as the publishing industry predicted, does become a new marketing tool. So it was beneficial, but I wouldn't call that a hustle. I'd almost call it a training course or just generally learning a new skill. I wouldn't call it a hustle, however. But that's just an example of starting something you think is going to be a side hustle and realising it's not. It's just something that you're doing to benefit your career without really considering whether or not you want to do this full time. A side hustle is something you want to do, and you do over a lengthy period of time. I can't stress that enough. It's bigger than a hobby, but it's smaller than a job. It's something that you do because you want to, and it benefits your career, be it your publishing or your overall career. No matter what, you just have those skills, and you should only continue a side hustle if you love to do it. With that in mind, I want to move on to the next stage of this workshop, which is looking at how to find your side hustle. And this is a bit of an activity that I want you to take part in. I previously ran a workshop with the Society of Young Publishers last year, and this is the activity that I ran in order to help people find their side hustle, because they were all coming in basically not knowing what they want to do, but just thinking, I want to do something extra. So with this in mind, I would like everyone, if you can, to grab a notepad or a piece of paper and just to create this mind map with me. So in the top left-hand corner, write down 3 of someone that wants to win campaign awards and also wants their author to appear on TV, to be on the one show. Because remember, as much as these workshops are to help you develop your publishing career, they're also applicable to just your overall career as well. I love working in publishing, but as someone who is also a novelist, I have career goals outside of the publishing industry, or my marketing role in publishing industry, I should say, related to being a writer. I want my book to appear in certain magazines and a review. I'd love to appear on TV to promote my book. So you can just as much include those as you can. I want to be a marketing assistant, or I want to work for Hachette or something like that. Top hand side of the page, and write down 3 things you'll need in order to achieve these goals. So 3 skills. The examples on this side, I put networking, social media, and confidence. Someone that's in PR, these are 3 definitive skills that you are going to need regardless really of your goals. But that's why I put them down, because they're quite general. But you could also put down things such as presentation skills, or the ability to negotiate, a great sense of grammar or coding or design abilities, anything like that. When you've written down your dreams and the skills that you think you'll need, go to the middle of the page and start brainstorming some ideas or side hustles that you would like to do, which involve all of these skills and could benefit these dreams. For example, in the side I put podcasting and YouTuber and blogger, Instagrammer and public speaker. I could have just as easily written down journalist or broadcaster, both of which are great ways to build contacts in the PR business, for example. I could have also put down a freelance publicist or even an entrepreneur. Anything really. Whether you're already in the publishing industry or not, freelancing out your skills, whatever skills you have already, is a great way to develop not only a second income potentially, but also to increase your know-how and even your influence. Of course, many companies aren't too pleased about their staff freelancing out their skills, particularly if they're using those skills in-house as well. So just be wary of that if you do decide to undertake freelance editing, for example, or freelance publicity role when working full-time. Now, this brainstorming session isn't going to magically create a side hustle for you. It's simply a way of brainstorming an idea of a side hustle that you can undertake if you want to. The only way you're actually going to have a side hustle is if you start. But most of the people I know in this industry already have some sort of side hustle in their mind, be it that they want to start a Bookstagram account and reach 5,000 followers, or they want to start a YouTube channel or a podcast or anything really. A lot of people already have those dreams inside of them and they just don't vocalize them. And this is me basically giving you permission to vocalize them, to start, to try. You never know until you try. I also want to show you just kind of what my brainstorm would have looked like if I had created this technique 5 years ago when I started side hustling and was trying to get into the publishing industry. So my dreams at the time were to climb the career ladder quickly because I'm a very impatient woman. And I also don't enjoy being broke. Got to say, the first few years of publishing aren't the most lucrative. I also had big aims in terms of achievements. I wanted to make or publicise or market a really big bestseller. And I wanted people to know that it was me that had done it. I'm quite a bit narcissistic. I like to be noticed. What can I say? So I put those dreams down. And then when it came to skills, I was thinking of the 3 that I think are most beneficial in my career at the moment. And for me, I wrote down confidence, social media, and time management. And I cannot stress how important confidence is, not only in a marketing role, but just in general, in any role, be it in publishing or not. Confidence is key to kind of developing your career. Another thing, for marketing professionals specifically, is time management. You're going to be juggling a lot of projects at once, and you need to know how to prioritize and also how to say no. So time management is a very big thing for me. But I mean, with regards to other skills, there are so many. I could go on for ages going on about skills, and there could be something as simple as having good handwriting. For me, my side hustles turned out to be journalism, blogging, and public speaking. I have 3, and anyone can have as many side hustles as you like. That's the beauty of side hustles, but they do have to be manageable. So I would always start with just the one and then progress from there. So for me, it was blogging, and then journalism came naturally out of that because blogging and journalism are actually very similar, because obviously it's writing. And then public speaking came out because of my journalism. I was asked to speak at events based on articles I'd previously written. So they just kind of naturally expanded, but initially start with one and go from there. So on the slide, I've also put in the brackets what kind of skills these side hustles have benefited me with. So with journalism, I have reliability now and speed and time management, because obviously there are deadlines and newsworthy and things like that. Turnaround is very, very quick. I also, as a blogger, I know how to use social media effectively and how to code and be proactive, because I have to promote myself and I'm constantly thinking about ways to drive more traffic and things like that. And then with public speaking, a lot of that has come down to my confidence in myself and my presentation, and also technological skills as well, things like Zoom and pre-recording and editing and YouTube. So it really is, there are so many things you can get out of a side hustle, and it's never just one thing. It is normally multiples of skills that you can learn. So now that you've done your brainstorming session, hopefully you've decided, or at least got an idea of what you want to focus on. For example, if you want to focus on your social media skills, then maybe now it's time to start a Twitter feed where you have a weekly chat about publishing for entry-level publishers, which is just an example. But don't just dream about it. You actually need to go and do it and tell people about it. That's another thing. We'll get on this in a minute. But when you start a side hustle, you have to share it. No one gets anywhere by being secretive and not publicising their work. You might as well be, you're shouting into a void then. You need to talk to people and tell them. So to summarise this point of the workshop, these are the key learnings I hope you'll take away from it. Firstly, and most importantly, first comes heart, then comes hustle. I'm going to say this so much, you're going to be sick of it, but first comes heart, then comes hustle. Never undertake a side hustle unless you really want to do it and for the right reasons. Also remember that if you're contracted to do a full-time or even a part-time role, be it 9 to 5 or otherwise, your side hustle has to take a back seat. It's difficult sometimes, as our side hustles are usually the creative thing we want to do. Just like we want to sit and watch TV in our pajamas, or we want to go on holiday, but our careers are our money makers, and you should also be enjoying them as well. That you need to know that, or your employers need to know that when you're in the office or during work hours, your priority is that role. You're not thinking or focusing on anything else. And as I said before, a side hustle is bigger than a hobby, but it's smaller than a job. It sits neatly in between, and it can grow into a full-time job. I mean, for me, my side hustles right now are just that. They are side hustles. I love my publishing role. But if for some reason one day my side hustles become financially, reliable, or I no longer enjoy my publishing role, but I really enjoy my journalism, for example, then maybe I'll make a decision to leave publishing and go into journalism. But right now, that's absolutely not on the cards for me. I just enjoy journalism as a side hustle. I like being able to pick it up and put it down when I want to. And, currently in this situation with COVID, I'm really glad I'm not a freelance journalist, got to admit. Not really the most reliable of careers right now, unfortunately. So now that you have found and chosen potentially a side hustle, here are your next steps to undertake. So firstly, you need to make a plan, but don't plan forever. To get a side hustle going, you just need to start it. Just thinking of it or dreaming about something like becoming a YouTuber, it won't make it happen. You actually have to get out there and start. Also, don't do everything at once. I'm a massive culprit of this. I like to jump in head first and do my side hustle every day. And, like if I'm a blogger, I wanted to post every day, I wanted to design every day. This is just a recipe for burnout. It's not actually productive in any way. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm full of cliches today, but slow and steady wins the race. Or in my case, a side hustle. You also remember, you will not find success in the first week or even maybe the first year. It takes time to grow, be it an Instagrammer or even a business. So you have to stick at it and understand that hard work pays off eventually. You just don't necessarily know when or how. But that's the aims of the reason we have goals and things, is to work towards a goal. Even if you don't succeed, if you're working towards a goal, get as close as you can to it. That's when you know you've got a good thing going. Another tip, which I am really serious about, is don't invest money straight away. If you want to start a YouTube channel or a podcast, for example, do not go out and buy an expensive camera or lighting or a mic or something like that. Start with the free trials and what you already have available, namely your phone for the most part, and go from there. No one ever expects anyone's first anything to be spectacular. The first video, the first article, the first photo, whatever you take. I mean, my first article was really not that good, and nor was my blog design for the first 2 years that I was undertaking blogging. So I just want to reiterate, never to invest money until at least 3 months into a side hustle, because at 3 months you kind of know if it's something that you want to continue, if it's something you enjoy, and that's when you know it's a worthy investment to make. And as I said before, when you undertake a side hustle, tell people. Don't necessarily go onto your Facebook page and do a big announcement saying, I've just started this website and it's the best thing ever. But talk to the people within the community and network and reach out to people for advice and ask people how they got started and things like that. And then when you feel more confident, when you start seeing results, when your traffic goes up a bit, or you feel like your content is good and it's something you're going to stick with, that's when you can start properly shouting about it, putting it all over your Twitter and your Facebook, putting it in your bio, putting it in your CV, being the first thing you mention at a networking event, having a business card even. But don't initially go around telling everyone, I've just started this thing, it's going to be the best thing ever, I'm going to be a celebrity and make tons of money. You don't know that until at least 3 months. Right, so next slide. We've now discussed how to find a side hustle and how to start a side hustle. But now it's time to talk about how to manage a side hustle whilst working full-time or even part-time. As I said previously, your side hustle has to be secondary to your contracted role. I always tell my employers that from 9 to 5, I am theirs entirely, but from 5:30 p.m. until 8:30 in the morning the next day, I am mine. Of course, I do sometimes work evenings when I have to go to an event or a launch party, or I have some sort of marketing role to play, but I don't work past 5:30 p.m. on every single day in order to get a job done or to be extra helpful or anything like that. It's not because I don't want to, it's not because I'm not a team player. When it comes to employers and even interviewers, it's important to be honest about side hustles, but reiterate during that interview or that meeting you're having with them that your contracted hours are entirely focused on the work and nothing else. I mean, of course, you might be thinking about it, but you should never spend your working day working on a side hustle project, for example. I previously spoken to people who have a side hustle or are thinking about starting a side hustle, who are scared of talking to their managers, or even have been told that there's a note in their contract that says they cannot do an extra job on the side, for example. However, it is illegal to dictate what someone can and can't do outside of their contracted hours. So if you ever get told, it's in your contract, you can't have a second job, that's a lie. It's not possible. Yes, there will definitely be lines in your contract about insider trading, for example, or sharing company secrets, but there will never be a line in there saying you cannot have a podcast to discuss The Walking Dead or a website sharing reviews of your latest reads. That is impossible, and it's censorship, and it's not allowed. So no matter what, Side hustles are possible, and no one can tell you that you can't have one either, but you do have to be sensible and consider things such as I mentioned previously about freelancing. If you're a publicist at a publishing company and then you also are a freelance publicist on the side, that is a very difficult side hustle to manage, because you are effectively giving your talents and your role to someone else for your own gain. It's a bit, if I compare it to another industry, for example, hairdressers. I know a lot of hairdressers that work in salons who are told they cannot have private clients because technically they're taking the work out of the salon. It's a precipice that you have to walk and be very careful about. So when I have a side hustle, I don't do things outside of the publishing industry about marketing, except these workshops where I still do talk to my communications team and my boss, and to make sure that everything I say is okay and I'm not giving away no secrets or anything like that. I am merely sharing my own experiences here, and that's something they cannot stop me from doing. The best way to make sure everyone is on side and everyone is aware is to just talk to your managers and to be honest. I think side hustles for the most part have to kind of be separate to your publishing day job. So if you're in sales or if you're in publicity or whatever, then your side hustle should be separate from that in some way. So being a YouTuber and being a publicist is absolutely fine. Being a sales director and having a side hustle as a singer, absolutely fine. You just need to be able to communicate properly that, like I said, that your contracted hours are theirs and your non-contracted hours are yours, and to make sure everyone is aware and happy as well. If in doubt, just double check or share information. I always go to my communications team, I always go to my boss, I always ask, not necessarily permission, but just to check, can you look over this? I don't want to give away or break any secrets or break any rules or anything like that. So just be aware of that. But like I said, there are no rules in a contract that say you cannot have a side hustle at all, and if anyone says that you can't, there is something that you should raise with your HR department, and if you don't have one, that you should really just kind of talk to other people about. But anyway, that's actually everything I have for this workshop today. So like I said, I will be taking questions live via Twitter, Instagram and my email. All of the information is currently on the screen. I also will be writing supportive articles about Market Your Marketing on my website, elsbellsnotebook.co.uk. So if there's anything you'd like me to write an article about or a post about, I've previously written about networking and also a lot about side hustles and managing side hustles. I'll include links today in my Twitter feed and also tomorrow, so do feel free to go and check that out. And if, like I said, any questions, do please come and ask me. I also have a Google form link which I will share on my social media as well, where you can come and ask me questions for the next workshop. I'm just looking at it now, and currently the questions that I have are actually about writing CVs and job adverts and things like that. So I'm going to save those for my next session on the 20th of October. As I said, please pre-register via Eventbrite to make sure that you get the link before anybody else. And if you have any questions, please do contact me. I'm always available. I'm always happy to answer questions. At no point will I ever turn you away and say, no, I'm too busy. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you again in a week's time. Thanks, guys. Bye.